Thanks. Joining us now on the phone is Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Senator, first of all, what is your message tonight to the citizens of Florida ahead of the storm?
Well, I think the message is to heed their local and state officials that are asking them to evacuate from certain places, and obviously a lot of people in Florida have lived through multiple storms, but it's a state that's always growing. We have a lot of people that are new and perhaps have never lived through one of these. This is a catastrophic storm in its worst-case scenario. And the other point is not just southeast Florida. It is such a big storm and such an uncertain track, even at this late hour, that large swaths of the state, from the east coast to the west coast of the state, could be deeply impacted by this. So you worry about storm surge on coastal areas. You worry about a lot of people at the roads getting on there too late and getting stuck on the road in the middle of the storm coming in. So I just hope people will heed the warnings. And look, right now it appears, at least in southeast Florida, where I've seen the last couple of days the most mobilization, people are heeding those warnings.
Yeah, I mean, Miami-Dade County, I talked to the mayor just a little while ago. They've issued a mandatory evacuation only for certain areas. Do you think that an evacuation order may be increased as this storm nears?
Well, that's the mayor's call to make. Obviously, a lot of this is predicated on both the timing of the storm and the FEMA maps that have been laid out. I certainly think if you are in an area where evacuations are what they call voluntary right now, you should start thinking about the fact that at some point tomorrow, early or by midday, those could become mandatory. That doesn't mean the police comes out and forces you to leave. It's just a heightened sense of alertness. And people also need to realize, I know it's inconvenient to have to leave your home, but there is a reason why these areas are in where they are. They are prone to flooding. They are susceptible to high winds more than the inland areas are. And once that storm starts, it's going to be impossible for anyone to get out to help you during the storm, and potentially there's a lot of flooding after the storm.
Yeah, and obviously, as you said, I mean, the storm could track all the way up, the coast to the east coast of Florida. That's some of the modeling, hundreds of miles long. It makes it hard for state, federal authorities to pre-position resources as they would probably like to do.
Well, I made the point earlier today, FEMA is pre-positioned. For example, they have significant assets waiting at an Air Force base in Alabama. The problem is people need to understand that the way the track of this storm is going, if it in fact, let's say it goes up I-95 as an example, I'm not saying that's what it's going to do, but let's say it did. It's possible. They can't come down with relief until that storm is cleared and it's safe to get here. So you've got to be able to sustain yourself with enough food and water and medicine. That's the other point people don't think. If you've got important medicine that you take, life-sustaining or quality-of-life medication or anything that's critical, you got to have access to that for at least 5 or 6 days, because you just don't know how long it's going to take before pharmacies are open, electricity's back up, and all the other things we seem to take, we take for granted in modern life.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, folks will be in Florida looking for aid from Washington. One quick political question before I let you go. President Trump today sided with Democrats in agreeing to sign a bill that would tie Harvey aid to a debt ceiling bill. It raised the debt ceiling for only 3 months. It's a proposal Speaker Ryan called ridiculous and disgraceful. I'm wondering, do you agree with Speaker Ryan?
Unfortunately, I wasn't there today. I've read the press accounts. It's not a dodge. I just haven't been there because I've been here dealing with this. I would just say I always prefer to deal with these issues standing on their own. I think it's better that way. I understand why you'd want to lump them all in here, but FEMA runs out of money on Friday, theoretically. That's an important thing. The debt limit and all these other issues are critically important as well, but I always think you get a better product when you deal with them standing alone. I'd prefer they have done it that way. I'm not a real big fan of the direction they've gone with it in this regard right now, but obviously at this point you're kind of in a crunch. I mean, that's the direction it's headed, but my preference had been they'd done it at least standing alone and not lump these things together.
Yeah, Senator Rubio, appreciate talking to you. Difficult times, obviously, and wish everyone the best there in Florida. We'll continue to follow it. Thanks very much, Senator. For more on what lies ahead, let's